How's it going, Algebra 1? You know who it is. You know what's poppin'. We got the math going. I'm bumming it today. It is a glorious Sunday of playoff NFL football. You know where I'll be at after I get done with some business today, okay? Last week we looked at graphing methods to solving systems of equations. Today, we're taking a step back from that. We're not going to be graphing at all. It's going to be pure algebra. And then tomorrow we'll look and see if there's some kind of comparison we could draw between both methods, graphing and today's method, which is called substitution. Substitution's pretty, like we've heard that word before. Substitution is basically just a method of solving systems of equations with one another. So basically, whole idea is, like if you think about it with sports, you know, if you're playing for a really long time, somebody's going to like call on a sub for you and that person's going to replace you, right? Or if I have a substitute teacher, that teacher replaces me for that particular day. You can do the same thing with math. You can do the same thing with the numbers and variables. You can replace them because they are related to each other, okay? So if you have these notes printed out, that's awesome. Follow along. If you do not have a printer at home, not a big deal. Just go ahead and follow along in your notebook, and we're going to get a lot of practice down, okay? So just like everything I like to do with this class, I love coming up with steps to solve, right? So let's look at step one. Step one is solve one equation for x or y. Those are kind of the two variables we've been working with lately. That's not going to change. Step two, it's going to be substitute this expression into the other equation and solve for the variable. Okay, what's going on? Let's just look at number one. We're not even going to solve it yet, but let's look at it, right? So step one, solve one equation for x and y. Well, both of these are already solved for y. These are already solved for y, which is awesome. So we actually don't even need to do step one for number one. Okay, those are already solved for y. If it was solved for x, you could see it like a number 4 down here. That guy is solved for x. But it is not solved for x here because it's not by itself and it's not isolated, right? So once you've done that, once you have that, the whole idea of this is we're going to substitute this expression. This expression is referring to, well, whatever equation you solve for x and y with. These are both solved for y. So what I can do is, well, I know y equals 4x minus 1 here. I could just replace the y with 4x minus 1 in the other equation, right? So I'm going to kind of actually start working through that while I work through these steps. So basically, I'm going to do y equals 4x minus 1. I know y equals 4x minus 1. So for this second equation, I'll label this equation 1, this one equation 2. For equation 2 now, I'm actually going to just replace that y with 4x minus 1, like that. Huh, right? That's what I did. I just substituted that guy, this 2x minus 5, or rather, this 4x minus 1 in right here. And really, you can do it either way. It does not matter. But this is step 2 right there. Now we can actually solve that equation. So let's kind of bring it up over here and see what we can do with it. Well, if I have 4x minus 1 equals 2x minus 5, I have a variable on both sides of the equal sign. Well, if I want to combine these guys, well, I need to get them, one of them, either the 4x or the 2x on either side of the equal sign. I'm going to get rid of the 2x over here. So the opposite is subtract 2x. What I do to one side, I do to the other side. And now, basically what we've done is these two x's are going to cancel to 0. I'm going to be left with negative 5 on that side. And that's going to be equal to, well, we have 4x minus 2x. They're like terms, so I can combine their numbers. So we get 2x and then minus 1 equals negative 5. Now, it is a two-step equation. So, again, when we do two-step equations, want to get rid of what we're adding or subtracting first, I'm going to add this 1 to both sides. So I get 2x equals negative 5 plus 1, which is negative 4. I divide both sides by 2, so x is going to equal negative 2. And that is one of my answers. I'm not done yet, right? Step 3 is kind of rinse and repeat. We're now going to substitute. We're going to substitute your answer into the revised equation from step 1 and solve for the other variable. What is that referring to? Well, I can substitute this answer, x equals -2, into really one of these equations. It really doesn't matter which one I do. Let's go ahead, let's do it with the y equals 4x minus 1. Let's do equation 1. Make some room. So y equals 4x minus 1. Now, instead of the x, I'm going to replace that with -2. So y is going to equal 4 times -2 minus 1. 4 times -2 is -8. And then minus 1, you're going to get y is equal to -9. And to write your answer, you can write it as a point, x comma y, right? So you can write your answer as x comma y. And instead of x comma y, obviously, you're going to do -2 comma -9 now. And that is going to be your answer. Okay? So always write your answer. Answer is going to be as an x comma y, as a point. Okay? That'll become more apparent tomorrow when we compare it to graphing. But for right now, just leave it as x comma y. Okay? What I want you guys to do, I want you guys to actually try number 2, just right off the bat. Just give it a whirl, and if you get stuck, we're going to go over it. Go ahead and give it a try now. Okay, we're back. Let's see what happens. Step 1. Is step 1 done? Solve for an equation for x or y. Yeah, we have y by itself right here, so I'm going to take that, and I'm going to substitute it in for this second equation right down here. So now, instead of 2x plus 3y equals -20, I'm now going to replace that with 2x plus 3 times, well now y is equal to 6x. I'm going to replace that with 6x. Alright. Let's go ahead, let's clean this up a bit. We got 2x plus 3 times 6 is 18x equals -20. I'm going to go ahead, write this guy up here, make some more room. 2x plus 18x, that's 20x, equals -20. And if we divide both sides by 20, I end up getting x is equal to -1, which is sweet. And now I can take that x equals -1, and I can replace it. Replace either the x in this equation with it, or the x in this equation with it. Pick the easier one. I would do this first equation, a lot simpler. So we have y equals 6 times x, but now it is going to be y equals 6 times -1, and so now we know that y is equal to -6. And so our final answer, if we're writing it as a point, as an x comma y, that's going to be -1 comma -6, and we are done. Okay? Sweet. That's really all there is to it. Sometimes you have to do step 1, but sometimes you don't. Once again, let's look at number 3. Number 3, I don't have to do that again. I have y equals x plus 9. Y is already solved for. So I'm going to take that y equals, and I'm going to replace this y in this equation with x plus 9 now. So I'm going to do 3x plus 8 times, it's now x plus 9. And the reason I'm replacing it like that, I'm replacing the whole thing exactly as I see it. Exactly as I see it, right? I know that y is equal to x plus 9, so I treat it like one quantity, which is why I'm putting it in parentheses. And that equals -5. The other reason I do that is because it tells me, hey, if I have parentheses with some stuff in there, and I have this 8 on the outside, I can distribute that. I can distribute that 8 to both those. Okay, so now I can write this as 3x plus 8 times x, which is 8x, plus 8 times 9, so plus 72, that equals -5. All right, let's combine some like terms. I know 3x and 8x can combine to 11x plus 72 equals -5. And now we have a two-step equation. Once again, if I subtract 72 first, and again, I should, it's the easier thing to get rid of, I'm going to be left with 11x equals -77. Divide both sides by 11. X is going to equal -7. Let's go ahead, let's replace the easier equation with our new x value. Our x is -7, so I'm going to replace this top one with that. So we're going to have, instead of y equals x plus 9, we're going to have y equals -7 plus 9, which means -7 plus 9, so y is going to equal 2. So that means my answer can be written as -7, 2. And that guy's done. Good stuff. All right. Go ahead and give number 4 a shot. When you're ready, we're going to be going over it. Pause the video now. All right, we're back. Can't afford any editors. That's why it looks bad. If you don't pause the video and heed my words, but if you didn't need to pause the video, like if you're really stuck, you're really stuck. It's okay. Let's take a look. Again, are these guys solved? Any of these equations solved? Yeah, this guy right here. So I'm going to replace this x down here with 4y plus 7. So I have 2 times 4y plus 7 minus 6y equals 12. Let's go ahead. Once again, it's just like the last problem. We have to distribute this 2. So I'm going to get 2 times 4y is 8y, plus 2 times 7 is 14, and then that's minus 6y equals 12. Let's go ahead. Let's combine our y's together. So we end up getting 8 minus 6 is 2y, plus 14 equals 12. We have a nice little two-step equation. I'm going to subtract 14 from both sides to start. So I end up getting 2y equals 12 minus 14 is -2. So when I divide both sides by 2, y is going to equal -1. And now let's go ahead, let's replace y in this top equation with -1. It's the easier equation. And again, it doesn't matter which one you do it. You're going to get the same answer. They're a system of equations. They're related to each other. They're on the same team, right? But make it easy on yourself, okay? So x is going to equal 4 times y is -1 plus 7. And we can see that x equals -4 plus 7 after we multiply. So x is going to equal 3, which means our final answer is going to equal 3, -1. And we are done with that one, okay? We're going to go ahead, we're going to flip the page, and let's go ahead, let's take a look at something like number 5 and 6, okay? Because, well, this time we actually have to utilize step 1. We don't have x or y solved yet, but it's actually not too bad, okay? So if I'm looking at both these, you have a choice. If you're looking at this bottom one, and really even the top one, you could look at either of them, they look like standard form, right? ax plus by equals c. So you're like, oh my god, do we actually have to like do all the steps to turn it into y equals mx plus b again? Do we have to solve for y that way? No, you don't have to do that at all, actually. You can choose which one to make it easier. My advice is pick the one where your variable doesn't have a number in front of it, like this top one right here. If we look, the y doesn't have a number next to it. So to get y solved by itself, I'm going to take this 2x plus y equals -2. And I want to get y solved for by itself. So I'm going to get rid of this 2x. So to do that, I subtract 2x from both sides. And I'm going to be left with y equals, and I can't combine those. So I'm going to leave it as -2 minus 2x. And now I have that guy to work with right here alongside this other equation. So I'm actually going to get rid of this guy right here and just replace it with this one now that we have step 1 done. Okay, so that's kind of some advice. Pick an equation for step 1 that has, we'll say has nothing. I'm going to put that in parentheses, in quotes, because technically there is something in front of this y. It's a 1, but you don't need to write it there. So pick an equation for step 1 that has nothing in front of x or y. Okay. If possible. It's not always possible. It might not be possible, right? So sometimes you do have to get a little bit more creative. But for the most part, I'm just looking at all these, I could tell you right now, yeah, you're probably not going to have issues with that at all. Yeah, all of these have something like, even this one right here, right? This bottom equation, you have y by itself right there. You have like y with no number in front, so you can subtract the 2x over, and you'll have that, okay? So let's take a look at this right here. Once again, we need to now take this y equals whatever this stuff is and plug it into the other equation, substitute it. So now I have 5x plus 3 times, it's going to be negative 2 minus 2x. So now when I distribute that 3, I'm going to have to, think about my signs when I multiply. Equals negative 8. So let's go ahead, let's distribute this 3. Let me left with 5x. This is going to be 3 times negative 2, that is minus 6. 3 times negative 2x is minus 6x, and that equals negative 8. All right. It's getting a little messy. We're getting a little cramped. No biggie. We're going to do 5x minus 6x. We're going to get negative 1x. I'll put the 1 in there to make it clear. And then it's going to be minus 6 equals negative 8. Let's go ahead. Let's get rid of the negative 6. So I'm going to add 6 to both sides. So I get negative 1x equals, if I add 6 to both sides, I get negative 2. If I divide both sides by negative 1, I get x equals 2. So now let's take that guy, let's put it in the easier equation, which was this new one that we came up with. So it's going to be, move it up here, y is equal to negative 2 minus 2 times, this is a minus right here, minus 2 times 2. A lot of 2's, a lot of 2's. Y is going to equal 2. Sorry, negative 2. I keep forgetting. Y equals negative 2 minus 4. And negative 2 minus 4 is negative 6. So our final answer is going to be 2 comma negative 6 if we're writing it as an xy point. And that one is done. All right. So I know we have like additional problems right here. I want you guys to go ahead and get started on your homework. We're not going to go through all those problems because it's the same process. You've seen everything already that you're going to encounter on your homework. And we're just going to have to get more practice on it if we need to and see what you got, right? That's what homework is for mainly. It's not something where I'm like, oh my God, you got to get every single problem right. It's, are you trying those problems? Are you showing work? Are you giving it a good, honest effort? Is there feedback I can give you on it? That's what homework is for, so it prepares you for your quizzes and tests, which do really matter, okay? Think about it like that, and I hope that was helpful. This is Mr. Knight, bumming out, signing out. I will see you guys Tuesday for our Zoom meeting.